Hello students, how are you? So I hope you all are good. So in my last video, I finished explanation of chapter 5, the 100 races part 1. I also discussed question answers. Now today in this video, I will discuss grammatical exercises of this chapter. I will also explain chapter 6, the 100 races part 2. Chapter 6 is the part 2 of the same story. Okay, so before beginning explanation of chapter 6 part 2 of this chapter, I will summarize this chapter once again. Okay, are you all ready? I hope so. So let us begin. Thinking about language. Okay, look at these sentences. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling of feet. B. The time when they thought about Wanda was outside of school hours. These italicized clauses help us to identify a set of boys, a place, and a time. They are answers to the questions: what kind of rough boys, which corner did she sit in, and what particular time outside of school hours. They are defining or restrictive relative clauses. Compare them with the non-defining relative clauses discussed in Unit 1. Okay, so dear students, so have a look on italicized word. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good friends or who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling, where there was most scuffling of feet. So these italicized word, they are relative clauses, and the word who, where, that, which, so they are when they are relating relative clauses to principal clause. Now what we have to do? We have to combine the following to make sentences like those above. So here in the bracket, clauses have been given. You know, for male or female, for man we use who in order to join relative clause with the principal clause. For objects and animals we use which or that. Okay, so relative clauses are given in the bracket, and we have to join these two sentences using these relative clauses. Okay, so let us begin this exercise. Number 1, this is the bus. What kind of bus? It goes to Agra. So you have to join these two sentences. This is the bus, it goes to Agra. So use which or that. You can either use which or you can use that. Okay, you can use either which or that. So this is the bus that goes to Agra, or this is the bus which goes to Agra. Both are correct. So your bus is a non-living object, so that is why we can use either which or that. And for man, For human being, we use who. Okay. Second one, I would like to buy shirt. The shirt is in the shop window. Now you try on your own. Write your answer. Now match it. I would like to buy, yes, the shirt which is in the shop window. Okay, I would like to buy the shirt which is in the shop window. So whether you can use which or that. You may also write, I would like to buy shirt which is that is on the shop window. Now look at the third one. You must break your fast at a particular time when you see the moon in the sky. Yes, you have to use when. Now join these two sentences using when. Yes, you must break your fast when you see the moon in the sky. Very good. Now next one, fourth one. Find a word. It begins with the letter Z. So you have to use either which or that. So find a word that begins with the letter Z. Okay. Find a word which begins with the letter Z. It is also called Z. Okay. Fifth one. Look at the fifth one. Now find a person. His or her name begins with the letter Z. So now write down your answer, then match. Now find a person. Yes, you have to use whose name begins with the letter Z. Sixth one, look at it. Then go to a place. There are no people whose name begins with Z in that place. You have to use where. So then go to a place where there are no people whose name begins with the Z. Okay. So then go to a place where there are no people whose name begins with the Z. Okay. So I have seen how we use relative clauses, relative pronouns to join relative clauses to the principal clauses. Okay. And in unit 1 we have learnt about non-defining clauses. So you must have a look once again to unit 1. Okay. And these are relative clauses. Narrative. This story is in the third person. That is, the narrator is not a participant in the story, but the narrator often seems to tell the story from the point of view of one of the characters in the story. For example, look at the italicized words in this sentence. Thank goodness she did not live up on Boggins Heights or have a funny name. Whose thoughts do the words thank goodness express? So simply thank goodness, it expresses the writer's thought, the narrator's thought. Okay, the story has been written in the third person. Even at some point narrator introduces himself. Maddie, who is grateful that although she is poor, she is yet not as poor as Wanda or as different. So she does not get teased, she is thankful about that. So you can see some lines have been used from narrator's point of view, from narrator's side. Even narrator does not introduce himself in the story. The author writes this story in the third form. Even at some point he has used some words, not he has, she has, yes, she has used some words which shows the narrator's direct participation in the story. Now let us go through this exercise. Here are two other sentences from the story. So can you say whose point of view the italicized words express? You have to tell whose point of view these italicized words express. Look at the first one. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down front with other children who got good marks and who didn't track in the whole lot of mud, did notice that Wanda wasn't there. Second one, Wanda Petronsky, most of the children in room 13 didn't have names like that. They had names easy to say, like Thomas, Smith or Allen. So now we have to find out the italicized word refers to whose point of view. Here are two other sentences from the story. Can you say whose point of view the italicized words express? So in the first one, who sat down front with other children who got good marks. So these are the point of view of Peggy and Maddie. So in the first sentence, the italicized word is the point of view of Peggy and Maddie. Okay. In the second one, Wanda Petronsky, most of the children in room 13 did not have names like that. Okay, they had names easy to say like Thomas, Smith or Allen. So whose point of view? Yes. So this is the point of view of other children, other students in room number 13. Okay. So now let us move on to the next question. Now look at the second question. The second question is based on adverbs. Can you find other such sentences in the story? You can do this after you read the second part of the story as well. So after reading second part of the story, you have to collect more sentences as we have just discussed. Okay. So now look at the third one. Look at this sentence. The italicized adverb expresses an opinion or point of view. Obviously, the only dress Wanda had was the blue one she wore every day. So this was obvious to the speaker. So this adverb has been used here. So now what you have to do in this exercise, other adverbs such as apparently, evidently, surprisingly, possibly, hopefully, incredibly, luckily. So use these words appropriately in the blanks in the sentences below. You may use a word more than once, and more than a word you may be appropriate for given blanks. So you have to fill these blanks, the given blanks, the blanks which are given here with the proper adverbs. Okay. So adverbs have been given here. Okay. So it should be done by you. So do it and send me the answers. Okay. If any doubt, so let me know in online classes, online doubt clearing classes. I will discuss all the answers. Okay. So now we are going to start part 2 of this story, chapter 6, the 100 dresses, part 2. So before starting 100 dresses part 2, let me explain this part once again so that you can easily relate part 1 to part 2. Okay, so let me explain it once, then we will begin part 2, chapter 6, 100 races, part 2. So now I am going to summarize the first part, then I will start the explanation of second part. The 100 races, part 1, I am going to summarize it. The 100 races is a story based on the true experiences of the author about a girl who is teased by her classmates because she is different, because her race is different, because her name is different. Wanda Petronsky, a girl who comes from the poor part of town, Boggins Height, is the only student in her class with a funny, polished name. She is always quiet and she always wears the same faded blue every day. Although she claims she has 100 dresses and 60 shoes at home, all lined up in her closet. The story is told from the perspective of one of Vanda's classmates, Maddie, who is the best friend of the main player in the daily taunting and teasing. After Vanda is absent for a few days, her classmates learn that her family has moved away to the big city, where they will be mistreated for being different. Maddie begins to wonder about the girl she and her friends used to constantly tease, and realizes that she knows very little about her. So some parts of the story you will read in chapter 6. Okay, so also when dress competition, dress design competition was held, so Wanda Petrosky won the first prize. Okay, so it's all about the first part in which we came to know how the girl is teased in the story, how other girls of the class including Maddie and Peggy, they used to tease the girl outside the school, but she had been absent since last Monday. She was not coming to school, nobody noticed. So on the day of result, when she won the prize, everyone started looking for her, but she was not in the school. So now in the second part we will come to know that because other girls and other American students used to tease her, so that is why she as well as her parents decided to leave that place. Okay, so let us continue the story in part 2, chapter 6, 100 races, part 2. So student, let us continue with the story in chapter 6, the 100 races, part 2. While the class was circling the room, the monitor from the principal's office brought Miss Mason a note. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoroughly for a while. Then she clapped her hands. So when all the students were circling the room, because they were looking at the beautiful designs made by Wanda as well as other girls. The monitor of the principal's office, the monitor from the principal's office brought Miss Mason a note. So the monitor brought a note for Miss Mason from principal's office. Miss Mason read it several times. Miss Mason read the note several times and studied it, and she studied the note thoroughly for a while, completely, deeply for a while. Then she clapped her hands. Then Miss Mason, after going through the notes, after reading the note, she clapped her hands. Attention class, she said. Attention class, everyone back to their seat. She told every student to go back to their seat. When the shuffling of feet had stopped and the room was still and quiet, and when the shuffling of the feet had stopped and the room was still and quiet, Miss Mason said, I have a letter from Vanda's father that I want to read to you. She said she had a letter from Vanda's father that she wanted to read for the students. Miss Mason stood there a moment, and the silence in the room grew tense and expectant. Miss Mason stood there a moment, and silence in the room now grew tense, and they were expectant. They were thinking that something good will happen, that is expectant. They were thinking that something good is going to happen. Okay, that is expectant. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. So the teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. Deliberately means intentionally. Okay, deliberately means intentionally. Okay, she adjusted her glasses and slowly and intentionally. Her manner indicated that what was coming. This letter from Vanda's father was the matter of great importance. Her manner of adjusting the glasses, her manner of behaving, all these things, her expressions, all these things indicating that what was coming, the letter from Vanda's father, was a matter of great importance. Everybody listened closely as Miss Mason read the brief note. Everybody paid very much attention while Miss Mason was reading the letter which was sent by Vanda's father. So what was written in the letter? Dear teacher, my Vanda will not come to your school anymore. So it was written in the letter that from her father's side that my Vanda will not come to school anymore, that Vanda won't come to school anymore. Jack also and her brother Jack also won't come to school. Now we move away to big city. Further, he added that they had moved to big city. No more holler Polak. You know, holler Polak. Holler Polak means loud cry, shout. Polak means, you know, a word suggesting anger. Polak, a word which suggests anger. Okay, and holler means, you know, shout. So he said there would be no shouting. There would be no shouting of such word which can cause anger. No more ask why funny name, and no one would ask why Vanda had funny name. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Further, he added that there are plenty of funny names in the big city. Yours truly, Jan Petronsky. So this was the letter which was sent by Vanda's father. So this letter, after going through this letter, they came to know that why Vanda had been running absent since last 3 days, since Monday, why she was not in the school on the day of result, even even when she was a winner, but she did not know that she won the first prize, because she not only left the school, but also she left the town, she left the city. Now she had moved, now her father, her family, they had moved to big city. So also in this letter he gave the reason of migrating to another city. The reason was that everyone used to tease Vanda and his brother. So that is why he said in the big cities, in the big city there are many people who have funny names. So no one would be teasing Vanda Petronsky because of her name, because of her religion, and because of her race. Okay. A deep silence met the reading of this letter. So after reading this letter, there was a deep silence in the class. Miss Mason took off her glasses, below on them, and wiped them on her soft white handkerchief. Even Miss Mason was weeping. There was tear in her eyes. She took off her glasses, blew on them, and wiped them on her soft white handkerchief. Even she was very much worried. She was very much tensed. She was also sad that Vanda had left the school for no valid reason. For as she was teased by the students, so that is why she as well as her family had to leave that place. Okay. Then she put them on again and looked at the class. Then Miss Mason, she put the glasses on again and looked at the class. When she spoke, her voice was very low. So this shows that while she was speaking, she was very sad. So that is why her voice was very low. I am sure that none of the boys and girls in the room 13 would purposely and deliberately hurt anyone's feeling because his name or her name happened to be a long, unfamiliar one. Then she said, I am sure that none of the boys and girls are going to tease anyone purposely or intentionally. Deliberately means intentionally. Okay, so none of the boys and girls of room number 13 would be teasing anyone purposely or intentionally because of her name, and no one would hurt anyone's feeling because of her name, because of his or her name happened to be very long and unfamiliar one. So how heart-wrenching it was, how they were feeling, how sad she was feeling at this point when she had gone through the letter and came to know Vanda Petronsky had to leave the school because she was being teased by the students of the school. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtfulness. So further she said that I think that what was said in without thinking, that is thoughtlessness. Sorry, thoughtlessness means without thinking. Thoughtlessness means without thinking. Okay. I know that all of you feel the way I do. Further, she added that I know all the students would be, she knew all the students would be feeling as she was feeling. That this a very unfortunate thing to have happened. Further, she said it was very unfortunate thing which happened in the school. Unfortunate and sad both. And I want you all to think about it. Further, she asked the student they must think about what happened to Wanda and they must not repeat it with other students. Okay. So dear students, this is all about today's video. In my next video I will explain the rest part of this chapter. So revise. If any doubt, let me know in online classes. Thank you for watching this video.